Hello, hello, hello. It was another week of surprising basketball last week. I'm hoping that everyone dug themselves out of the snow, the ice, or whatever Mother Nature decided to send your way over the weekend. On this video, we will cover the AP Top 10, the top 25 exits and enters, the undefeated teams, great matchups from last week, our players of the week, and must-watch games for this week. First, let us welcome you back to Davis Sports Report, sending a special thank you to all of our subscribers. And for those that just come through to watch, it's okay to subscribe. It's free. It won't hurt, I promise. And in the meantime, please do us a huge favor, hit that like button, and let's get into this recap. Let's start with the new AP Top 10, where there wasn't much movement again. First up is going to be UConn, staying at number 1. Then UCLA moved up 1 spot to number 2. South Carolina moved down 1 spot to number 3. Texas remains at number 4. Vandy, despite taking a loss, remains at number 5. LSU remains at number 6. Louisville moved up a spot to number 7. Iowa moved up 2 spots to number 8. Michigan moved down 1 spot to number 9, and Oklahoma made a massive jump up 6 points after a win over South Carolina to number 10. Now for the top 25 big moves. Tennessee moved up 2 points after a win against Kentucky. Georgia moved up 3 points, also after a win against Kentucky. Rough week for Kentucky. And Kentucky, they moved down 7 spots after losing both games in Week 12. Next is the top exits and enters, and the enters is Georgia, making their debut onto the AP Top 25 polls for the first time this season. Hey, Bulldogs. And for the exits is Nebraska. So long, Huskies. We will miss you, and I have a feeling we might see you back here again. For the undefeated teams, and there was now one. For the Big East, UConn remains undefeated. In the SEC, Vanderbilt, while they had a great run, the Cinderella story is over, and Vandy took an embarrassing loss to South Carolina. And for the great games from last week, on Monday, there was the Coretta Scott King Classic, and boy, was this classic one to watch. We had a few Jersey girls get to go home and play in front of family and friends. Olivia Miles, Michaela Blakes, Justine Passot, Ashley Sofilkinich, and Tiala Del Fosse. First was TCU versus Ohio State. TCU dominated early, capitalizing on their defense to hold Ohio State to just 8 points in the first quarter. The Horned Frogs looked poised to control the game, leading by as many as 10 points. However, the Buckeyes found their rhythm in the second quarter, fueled by perimeter shooting, cutting the deficit to just 3 points by halftime. The second half turned into a back-and-forth battle. Ohio State took their first lead of the game in the third quarter, but TCU beat the buzzer to carry a slim 49-47 lead into the fourth. The final period was chaotic, featuring 8 ties. With just over a minute left, TCU led 66-65, but Ohio State's Chance Gray played the hero, burying a clutch three-pointer. Despite a last-second 3 from TCU, Ohio State held on for a massive 71-69 victory, securing their second top 10 win of the season. Then there was Vandy versus Michigan. The game began with a defensive battle, but Vanderbilt quickly seized momentum. After falling behind early, the Commodores' offense ignited in the first quarter, sparking a double-digit lead that would carry into halftime. Vanderbilt's perimeter shooting and defensive pressure stifled Michigan, allowing the Commodores to build a commanding 47-30 lead at the break. However, the second half told a different story. Michigan emerged from the locker room with renewed intensity, chipping away at the 17-point deficit. The Wolverines tightened their defense, holding Vanderbilt to just 14 points in the third quarter while scoring 23 of their own. The fourth quarter became a thriller as Michigan's comeback efforts peaked, pulling them within 2 points, 71-69, with just 44 seconds remaining after a steal and layup by Kendall Dudley. In the final moments, Vanderbilt freshman sensation Aubrey Galvin proved to be the difference maker. With the game on the line, Galvin drained a clutch three-pointer to extend the lead and later hit a crucial free throw with 2.5 seconds left to ice the game. Michigan had one final look, but a corner three-pointer attempt by Silas Swords fell short as time expired. Vanderbilt survived the score, winning 72-69 to improve to 19-0 on the season. The high score was Aubrey Galvin with 20 points. Moving on to the bashing that UConn gave Notre Dame, and I really expected this game to be a little more even than it came out to be. Hidalgo was held to 16 points and just 3 steals. Let's hear from the coaches.
Why they're the best team in the country and undefeated. I thought that they came out in the second half with a ton of fire. I thought we had a really good first half. Had some open looks. I thought it was, obviously a 9-point game, but I thought second half they really came out, dominated offensively, defensively, pretty much did whatever they want. For us, it's a lesson, playing against an elite team like that. Have a new team that hasn't been aware of what this is when you come here. But again, like I said, UConn very dominating the entire game, really turned it on in the second half. A lot of lessons for us so we can get back and get better.
You guys have been throwing a lot of different looks at Hannah throughout. Just what did you feel like made the game plan so successful against her?
KK for the most part. I thought, I told her I thought this is the best game that she's played since she's been at Connecticut. Because, it's a mentality to play really well against a really good player. Yeah, you've got to have some strategy and all that, but I think it's a mentality. She's one of the top guards in America, and so you got to go out there with a certain mindset, and then the whole team has to have that mindset. Obviously, I talked to Neil about this before the game. They're in a tough spot. They lost a lot of really good offensive players, and they're limited bench wise. It's kind of where we've been there. So there's an awful lot put on Hannah's shoulders, more so than the previous 2 years that she's been there. So we tried to take advantage of that and make sure that, she had to do a lot more than just what she normally does for them. And I think defensively, when she's on defense, she wasn't able to cause as much havoc as she normally does.
Next up is Iowa, who is fire hot right now versus Maryland. In a wildly unpredicted top 15 clash, number 10 Iowa survived a massive collapse to defeat number 15 Maryland 85-78 in overtime. The Hawkeyes appeared to be cruising to a comfortable victory, holding a 17-point lead late in the fourth quarter. However, the Terrapins staged a frantic comeback in the final minutes to tie the game at 73-73. In overtime, Iowa regained their composure, outscoring Maryland 12-5, fueled by clutch free throws from Chastity Wright to escape College Park with the win. High scorer Ava Hayden with 20 points. Let's hear from the coaches.
So when we started, I said, look, we know exactly what we've done. We were in control, we got really in control, and then we got timid. We got a decision right now. We got 5 more minutes. Do we want to be timid and we want to let something that we fought so hard for slip away, or we want to play 5 minutes hard and take what we think we want to get? And I just felt they just hunkered down. But for them, Maryland scored first, and for us to come down and still handle all that, that was a heck of a win, and I'm really, really proud of them.
What did you think once you got to overtime? That's a great speech, by the way. What did you see your team do well that maybe it didn't do well in the last couple of minutes?
Well, we held them scoreless for 3.5 minutes because we didn't blow our assignments. I just reminded them, I think we messed up one time in overtime. I said, look, it does not matter what they do, how far away the screens are, if they ghosted or whatever they do. No one is guarding anybody but who we told you to guard. And it was just like they just kind of locked in with that.
You mentioned your size earlier, and kind of, you had that advantage today. You've had that advantage in a lot of games this season. How key has Hannah and Ava been to this team winning games this season?
They really have been key. And I think Ava has made such great growth, and I want to celebrate her key free throws tonight, right? Because she had a little foul trouble, and then she hasn't, and now we got into it a little bit. I want to talk about Journey Houston, big time minutes for Journey, and it was a good game for Journey because they were, when they played their small lineup. But when Ava came back in, she played a little timidly, right? Because she had 4 fouls. But then for her to hit that free throw, that was a lot of growth. But I think where we can keep improving is if we take care of that foul trouble and we just get a little bit more consistent and a little bit more, I got this.
Next is Tennessee versus Kentucky, where Tioni Keefe for the Wildcats remains out, and Janiyah Barker for the Lady Vols didn't suit up. My assumption is that it could be due to probably a concussion suffered in the game against Alabama last week. But the freshman held it down. Mia Paldo coming through big with 21 points. Let's hear from the coaches.
I don't know. Those are Kim's kids. You have to ask Kim that. But this is SEC basketball. I think we set basketball back, women's basketball back about 15 years today with the way both teams played, shooting under 30% from 3, 30-plus turnovers. I wouldn't have paid to watch it. But so. Very, very proud of her. She's trying to find her way through, Tiani's absence. And, we've been wanting her to be a little bit more aggressive. Tonight, I thought she was that. And we need a little bit more. Bless her heart, she played 36 minutes. Really hard battling. I think she started cramping up towards the end. But I can't fault her effort today. And if we can continue to get that from her, then we're going to be a better team. But, she gave us what I was asking for today from her.
Coach, you talked about being proud of your team's effort. It's a really tough stretch right now, but how much is it just trying to survive and maybe trying to keep afloat until Tiani maybe comes back?
It is. And we're not the only one. Everybody's dealing with situations right now, and this league is brutal. And the way that the games are played, you're going to have people in and out of lineups, so you have to be able to adjust. And but we are. And, during the stretch without her, I think we're, 2-3. And she's a big part of what we do, and we need her physicality, her toughness, her just her 5 fouls, her 40 minutes, or whatever it is that we're going to be able to use with her in order for us to be successful in this league.
Final question. First round was obviously scouted really well, but tonight she still finished with 15 rebounds. Just talk about how she adjusted in those.
You call it scouted. I call it mauled. We're sitting there watching replays, and her jersey's being tugged, and she's being pushed on, and But you know what? Obviously, that is the scout, all right, and that is what people are able to do. We've got to learn how to play through it. She's got to learn how to play through it.
It all starts with your teammates and coaches trusting in you, and believing in your potential. So honestly, Coach Kim puts the ball in my hands and tell me to do me. And because she know I'm either get myself involved or my teammates involved. So that's what I did. It's just muscle memory and the reps we put in the gym and just applying that to the game, really.
Yeah, I say trust as well from our coaching staff. I think them putting me out there, especially in the Alabama game, just going from that game and knowing that I can finish the game and then trusting me again to start today's game. And give me big minutes. I think that's where my confidence came from, just seeing how our coaching staff believes in me. And then also just stacking good days in practice, for sure.
Now, Kentucky with back-to-back losses, taking an L from Georgia. Georgia needed this win, and the last thing Kentucky needed was another loss. Georgia set the tone immediately, racing out to a 9-0 lead to start the game and silencing the Lexington crowd early. While Kentucky managed to chip away at the lead behind a barrage of three-pointers from Asia Boone and Amelia Hassett, Georgia's defense and balanced scoring proved too much to overcome. The Lady Bulldogs took a 34-26 lead into the halftime and withstood a furious Kentucky rally in the third quarter that briefly saw the Wildcats take a 42-39 lead. However, Georgia responded with composure, hitting clutch free throws down the stretch, specifically from Danny Carnegie, to secure the signature win. The high score for Kentucky was Asia Boone and Amelia Hassett, both with 15 points each. And Toni Morgan got a double-double, 10 points and 12 rebounds. For the Bulldogs, Danny Carnegie and Riley Thierkoff tied with 19 points each. Moving on to South Carolina versus Oklahoma, and phew, I don't think anyone saw this one coming. In a stunning upset, the number 16 Oklahoma Sooners took down the number 2 South Carolina Gamecocks 94-82 in overtime. The game was a back-and-forth thriller, with South Carolina taking a 43-36 lead into halftime thanks to a solid second quarter. However, Oklahoma clawed back in the second half, outscoring the Gamecocks 25-16 in the third quarter to take the lead. The fourth quarter was a defensive battle, ending in a 75-75 tie after South Carolina rallied late to force the extra period. Overtime, however, belonged entirely to the Sooners. Oklahoma exploded offensively, fueled by freshman sensation Aaliyah Chavez, who scored 15 of her game-high 26 points in the extra period. The Sooners outscored the Gamecocks 19-7 in overtime to secure the signature victory, and let's hear from the coaches.
I mean, it's not really rocket science. It's really a very simplistic thing.
What does the conversations look like after a loss like this, and what are some of the adjustments you'd like to make for Vanderbilt?
I mean, conversations are real. Like, we didn't do enough to win. And when you do that in our league, especially on the road, you pay for it. You pay for it with defeat. It's not a familiar territory for us, but we'll live. Like, it's part of it. We still, our goals are still in front of us. Every single one of them are still right in front of us. So we'll live, we'll learn, and we move on and get back to prepping for Vandy on tomorrow. Enough of that. And credit to Beer. She did a great job fighting for her position, and she was constant with it for us. I thought we've done better jobs in previous years, or particularly last year. But we got a new set of bigs that have to understand what you need to do on a possession basis to, not give her that sweet spot.
A team today. That's the team that, again, I don't even care about. I do, obviously, like winning a game like this is huge, and with the crowd was huge. But I saw us back and our energy back, and sometimes the outcomes take care of themselves when you have that. So that's how we feel right now. And so I thought,
go from you didn't shoot all that great in regulation. How did you maintain that confidence? 4 for 14 in regulation, 5 for 5 in overtime, and just come out firing?
No, yeah, I mean, it was big on my teammates. They kept on telling me to keep on shooting. Sahara and Reagan, both of them, they were like, "That's a great shot. I'll take that shot a million times with you." So just knowing that they trust me on taking the shots that I was taking, it just brought my confidence up.
Reagan, they have so many bigs to throw at you. You in Brooklyn actually score more points inside than they do. Talk about.
I don't know about that. That's okay. You're not wrong. Sounds forward. So anyway, they're very deep bench, deep bigs, obviously tall, lengthy, athletic. Thought we did a great job on Joyce Edwards tonight. She's a phenomenal player, really shifty, really good. I thought that defensively, Jenny mentioned this, I'm going to steal it, but we didn't put people on islands. I feel like we played team defense when we needed to, especially against a really good team. So it's really easy to guard a post when I know my guards are helping me.
Next, Iowa continues their week of dominance as they rolled Ohio State. Number 10 Iowa hosted number 12 Ohio State, delivering a statement 91-70 victory to extend their winning streak to 8 games. The matchup began with immediate adversity with the Hawkeyes as senior starter Taylor McCabe suffered a knee injury with 23 seconds into the game and did not return. Despite the emotional blow and an early 8-2 deficit, Iowa rallied behind a breakout performance from the freshman Addie Dill, who stepped into the void to score a career-high 20 points. Iowa seized control in the first quarter and never looked back, building a 16-point halftime lead of 48-32 by dominating the paint and the glass. The Hawkeyes' balanced attack and suffocating defense stifled the Buckeyes, leading to a lead that ballooned to as many as 23 points in the second half. The high score for the Buckeyes was, of course, Jelani Cambridge with 26 points. And the high score for the Hawkeyes was freshman Addie Deal with 20 points and 5 assists. This was literally freshman week, right? Lastly, is South Carolina gangsta snatching Vanderbilt's undefeated season. What put them out of strike? Let's hear from the coaches.
We looked like we were a little bit stunned, and you've got to expect that sometimes in an environment that we played in from kids that have not been in that environment or had to play the minutes that we've had to play. I had hoped that we were more prepared, that we would do things a little bit differently, but we didn't. And that's the game of basketball. So we could have been down by 40 at halftime, but we weren't. So to circle back to your question, we did respond. We had a really bad first quarter. They scored 55 points in the first half, but we were only down 11. And then I think we missed 3 or 4 layups in the beginning of the second half. Dead layups, which they got the rebound from and scored, and it felt like that took the wind out of our sails a little bit. So, yeah, there were things that happened that really stunk.
Now to our players of the week. My partner chose Jada Williams from Iowa State, who came through with a 44-piece this week. And for myself, I chose Aaliyah Chavez because she was the key, the only key really, to Oklahoma getting that win over one of the best teams in the nation. Now moving on to games to watch for this week. First up is Tennessee versus Ole Miss. That will be on Monday at 4 p.m. and can be viewed on ESPNU. Next is Washington versus Maryland. That'll be Wednesday at 7 p.m. and that can be viewed on the Big Ten Network. Then we have Vanderbilt versus Ole Miss. Man, Ole Miss has got a busy week. That'll be Thursday at 7:30 p.m. on the SEC Network. Then we have Tennessee versus UConn. Can't wait to see this one, but I got a feeling UConn's going to do the same thing that they did to Notre Dame. But hey, I'm hoping for a better game. That's going to be on Sunday at 12 p.m. and it can be viewed on Fox. Next is in-state rivals, Michigan versus Michigan State. That'll be Sunday at 12 noon, and I don't see where that's going to be aired yet. Then we have Baylor versus West Virginia, Sunday at 1 p.m., and that can be viewed on ESPN+. Then we have TCU versus Texas Tech, another in-state, and that's going to be Sunday at 2 p.m., and that can be seen on FS1. Then we have Oklahoma versus Texas, and yeah, I'm wanting to see that one. That's going to be Sunday at 3 p.m. That can be viewed on ABC. Then we're going to have Iowa versus UCLA, and we get to see UCLA's bigs go up against Iowa's. I'm looking forward to it. Sunday, 4 p.m. I don't see yet where that can be viewed. That is all that we have for you guys on this week. Please leave your comments below. Let me know what you guys thought about South Carolina's week last week. Is Oklahoma now the new dominant team in the SEC? They took some losses, but they've come back pretty strong, I'd say. Also, what do you guys think about Vanderbilt's loss? Notre Dame, where do they stand now? I know they're not in the top 25, but I was expecting a better showing than that. And just any other games that you're interested in seeing for this coming week. We're hoping, crossing fingers, that we can get out to see one of the games live this week. So again, thank you guys for watching. Because of you, we get to take those trips. So thanks. Again, hit that like button and we will see you guys on the next one. Goodbye.